Hello everyone, my name is Gabby. No face cam today because my computer that I normally use is off currently being serviced, and that's also might be why I sound a little bit different. But either way, doesn't matter because it's time for another Dragon Ball Super review, and this time reviewing episode 99. A universe may have been destroyed, but the battle is far from over. As 18 has some trouble with opponents from Universe 4, Krillin steps in to help her. The two of them together manage to take down a few opponents until Frost suddenly shows up and knocks Krillin out of bounds once his guard is down. The first member of Universe 7 has been eliminated. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, actually, at this point, I feel like from this point onwards, a lot of the things where I like about this episode could kind of just sort of be simplified to just sort of a list of fun fan service things that I really liked. And so the first one that happened this episode was Krillin and 18 teaming up to fight as husband and wife. Thinking about it, I think this is probably one of the first times we've ever actually seen Krillin and 18 fight together as husband and wife since well, besides their episode in Super, I think maybe it happened in Bio Broly, but besides that, it definitely never happened in the original series. And obviously I understand why, really, neither of those characters were particularly important during the Majin Buu stuff, and it wouldn't even make sense for them to be important, but yeah, this is the advantage of having a battle royale like this with so many contestants. You can explore these relationships between these characters in actual ways that are important to the plot, and that, them teaming up helps actually eliminate some guys, which does help Universe 7 in this tournament that decides their fates of their lives. It's not just a slice of life fan service moment, it's a fan service moment that does help everyone, and help everyone in the main plot, and that's one of the great things about having everyone here in the supporting cast. The other fan service moment I kind of liked was Botamo and Magata, first of all, them kind of teaming up together, and second of all, them sort of showing that they've sort of overcome the weaknesses that they had in the Universe 6 tournament, and that Botamo now cannot be thrown because he's just been training to stop that, and Magata has gotten over his weakness of insults because he just has Botamo sit on his head and cover his ears so he can't hear anything. I like this, first of all, because it's really cute and a creative way to bring these characters together, but second of all, because it kind of feels like these characters who, in the Universe 6 tournament, felt kind of like disposable enemies, it feels like they're sort of more like real contestants, real competitors, and, well, real characters, because, it's not just oh, they had these weaknesses and they're gonna have the same weaknesses, and the characters just do the exact same thing they had last time. No, they're working independently here. They're trying to overcome those flaws in the same way that every other main character would try to, and that's fun, even if it was kind of almost like a throwaway thing. But now let's talk about the other thing in this episode that wasn't necessarily something I particularly loved, but it wasn't really something I hated either, and that was the fact that Krillin got eliminated. First of all, he got eliminated so quickly, and second of all, that he was the first to be eliminated out of everyone in Universe 7. I had kind of mixed feelings about this when I was seeing stuff like this in some of the kind of previews, but, now that I actually got to see it, and I've sort of seen the consequences of it, I've just got to say, I'm alright with this. On the one hand, the one issue with it is kind of odd that Krillin out of everyone is the first character to go, because out of everyone, he's probably pretty high up there in terms of how much build-up he had. In that, he got 2 episodes in the sort of pre-universe survival arc filler stuff, and then he got an episode sort of dedicated to him as well in terms of the recruitment episodes, and it seemed like they were hyping up his abilities a bit more, and now he's the first to go, and it seems a bit unusual and feels almost like the Krillin build-up feels like a bit of a waste of time. But on the other hand, there doesn't necessarily need to be an absolute one-to-one linear relation between how much build-up a character has and how much actual payoff it is the character has when they actually fight in the tournament. Because, I mean, the thing is, if this tournament was basically just going to be that it's oh, well, no, I mean, Ten Shinhan and Roshi get eliminated first because we don't care about them, and then it'll be Krillin, and then it'll be 18, and the characters, in the same order of, how much build-up they have, they all get one cool moment, and they all get eliminated. At that point, then it wouldn't really be a tournament. It would be a checklist. A checklist of fan service moments that they need to do, that the characters need to do before they decide to just kind of eliminate them, and it's just kind of very, very methodical and plotted and predictable. And that's kind of not really the spirit of a battle royale. The entire point of a battle royale is that anything can happen, including characters who have lots of build-up being eliminated first. Obviously, it's a little bit of a strange plot point, and it's not exactly what I was expecting at all, but, there's a difference between, oh, I don't really know if I like this because it makes the story really unfocused and it's like detrimental to what they're trying to do. And oh, I'm really upset because my favorite character didn't get to act like a badass or as much of a badass as I wanted to. Because like the second thing isn't really a criticism, that's just like nitpicking. As for what I didn't like about this episode, so how hard is it to stay on your guard for longer than like a few minutes? This episode really sort of kind of kept using the idea that, you know, the character would sort of let their guard down, and then because of that, another character can get like a free shot in. It happened to 18 once, and it happened to Krillin twice. And in fact, the second time when it happened with Frost, it was the reason why Krillin got eliminated in the first place. On its own, I guess I don't really necessarily inherently have a problem with Krillin letting his guard down more than once. It's kind of unrealistic to expect that like the moment one character makes a mistake, they will never make the mistake ever again. It still kind of fits within the story, but honestly the thing that I was kind of concerned about is that, you know, if they keep sort of using this idea as like a way to sort of explain why characters can get a free shot on another character, so it's just like they keep using the sort of you let your guard down card, I feel like it's going to lose its impact really, really quickly. Because I think one reason why the you let your guard down moment can specifically work is because, like, in some of those moments, it's not just the character who lets the guard down, but it's oftentimes the audience. When an opponent is defeated, you're not expecting somebody else to immediately come in and try to fight, like, 2 seconds after the main character just won. So it's like both a shock to the characters and it's a shock to the audience, and that's what makes those moments actually work. But if they keep using this idea, then at that point, it's not going to be a shock. It's not going to be surprising to the audience, and it's not going to be surprising to the characters. If they keep losing because they let their guard down, at that point you are going to keep wondering, yeah, why aren't these characters actually thinking about that then? Why aren't they learning from their mistakes? Why is it that every time that somebody gets defeated, somebody lets their guard down? So, you know, at this point, this episode was kind of borderline, maybe they're doing it a little bit more than I expected, and if they keep doing it like that, that might be a problem. So as for next episode, well, it's going to be Dragon Ball Super's 100th episode, and what way to celebrate it than with Saiyan Girls? Super Saiyan Girls. I mean, and Kappa, but does anyone really care about Kappa? But yeah, so Cauliflower and Kale are both seem like they're both going to be fighting next episode. And that is going to be one of those interesting things, because Cauliflower and Kale were two of the contestants who we actually got to see a lot of before they even got to fight. Obviously, we assume the reason why we got all the build up to see what these characters are and what forms they have and whatnot is because, like, their actual fights are going to be kind of important. That might not be the case, after all, with that stuff with Krillin just happened, but, you know, it will be interesting to see. I do want to see the Saiyan Girls. Come on, Saiyan Girls, Super Saiyan Girls. I've only been waiting, like, my entire life for this, so yeah, this will be fun. So, that was Dragon Ball Super episode 99. Well, it was short and sweet and completely serviceable. I mean, we got some really nice Krillin and 18 moments, they got to fight, they got to look pretty cool, and Krillin got to defeat an enemy on his own, basically using nothing but his wits, which was the kind of thing that Goku was implying was going to happen, and the thing that I did want to see when this tournament was actually starting. The only sort of kind of issue with the episode is that basically, while it did do cool things, it didn't really go as far as you'd expect, and that it was kind of short and sweet. They didn't really do that much in the grand scheme of things. Those fan-servicey moments weren't that big. But, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just Dragon Ball Super not necessarily doing what I expected it to do. And, I mean, I'm always normally completely wrong at predicting what Dragon Ball Super does. So is that necessarily an issue? I don't know. It might be an issue for some people, it might not be an issue for others, but it's the kind of thing where I'm like, I'm a little bit disappointed, but I don't think it's really actually like making my opinion of the episode or of the arc actually change. It's just more me realizing that the people writing Super have different priorities to me. It's kind of hard to believe that as of next week, Dragon Ball Super would have been airing for 100 episodes. I mean, when Super first started, I'd never expected that that was going to happen. I mean, it seems like a very huge milestone. And, I mean, the episode itself might not necessarily celebrate that milestone, but it is really interesting. You know, this series that honestly didn't start off very strong at all has gradually gotten better, but it has also kept going, which definitely shows that Toei does have faith in this series, even if it is just because of merch reasons. So this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, guys!